A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, it is a period of rhythm and blues. Given a mission from God, two brothers are out to get the band back together so they can save the orphanage that raised them. It's going to take a lot of musical numbers, sweet talking, and car chases, a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. The subject of this episode is a movie from the 1980s that is rated R for depictions of sex, violence, profanity, smoking, and drug use, much of which also went into the process of making the movie. Please proceed according to your needs and comfort level. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed therein are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of their employers. Hello there, and welcome back to 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. I'm your host, Sam Marchioni. Joining me today, River Lane.
It's 520 miles to Chicago. I don't smoke. I can't drive. It's mid-afternoon, and I'm wearing sunglasses.
And for the very first time, please welcome Connor Duffy.
I'm here, and I still hate Illinois Nazis.
Hey, fucking men. We are here to talk about the 1980 cult classic? There's some debate about whether or not this counts as a cult classic or not, but we're talking Blues Brothers, which is a degree to by virtue of the one, the only, the incomparable Carrie Fisher. God, I miss her.
God, I miss Carrie.
Fun fact, listeners, this was my first time watching Blues Brothers, so I get to go up against two people who really, really like Blues Brothers.
I mean, it was my first rated R. I was in 7th grade, and my parents were like, okay, they were like gonna watch a movie and sometimes end like, you know, in the family living room, and I was there, and they're like, we can't kick out the kid. So like they turn to me and they go, okay, we're gonna watch this movie on the proviso that you are not allowed to talk like Jake and Elwood, and you're not allowed to drive like Jake and Elwood. Joke's on you, mom and dad, I'm a fucking queer who can't drive.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I can't tell you how young I was when I first saw this movie. I'm an elder millennial, so I was watching R-rated movies before I could tie my own shoes. You know, my parents didn't give a shit, but I love this movie. I'll take any opportunity to watch it and or talk about it.
All right, so just a brief carryover. We also mentioned this last episode in the Clue episode. John Landis, we are not on good terms. You killed some kids, motherfucker.
Yeah, everyone who kind of, like, to some level or another, everyone involved in this movie, or at least, like, the trio of main, you know, people you think about when you think about this movie, are, like, insane, just a smidge.
Yeah, like, 90% of the IMDb trivia that I looked up about this had something to do with cocaine.
Yeah, like, John Belushi is not our most insane actor, but he's definitely one of them.
He also kind of seems to be carrying this movie, like, am I allowed to say that?
No, that's like a known factor. Like this is Dan Aykroyd's child in that he wrote the original 300-page script. That was apparently so long as a joke that he had it bound in the LA Yellow Pages covers that John Landis then took 2 weeks paring down into a functioning movie.
I'd love to read Dan Aykroyd's original screenplay because like it would have been completely unworkable, but I would have loved to have seen just like how deep into Blues Brothers lore like he goes, like talking apparently the whole thing was like, you know, it was going to cover the whole history of the Blues Brothers. There was going to be how the band gets together and all this, you know, and all this stuff, and yeah, the fact that they got that down to a manageable 2+ hours is remarkable.
Yeah.
I want to know if that extended script had more about Carrie Fisher's backstory, because, God.
Truly the most woman, which is what makes this the most movie. Massive ACAB energy. It's an action comedy musical. Carrie Fisher is there with a rocket launcher. What more could you ask for out of a movie?
A shorter runtime?
there is an idea that a potential like this fan theory that Carrie Fisher's mystery woman is her family is somehow affiliated with the Romanian mob, which I love it so much as a theory, and I will not take any arguments against it.
Yeah, her big monologue did seem to indicate that. And you know what? In terms of the criminals that Carrie Fisher has dated on screen, where do we rank Juliet Jake Blues in comparison to Han Solo?
I would put them not quite on opposing ends of the spectrum. But they're very different types of criminals. Because, like, Han's whole thing is he's a drug smuggler, right? Jake seems to be petty crimes to help people and or pay the band.
Mm-hmm.
And or just, like, minor traffic violations because both he and Elwood drive like maniacs.
Which is one of the reasons why this movie is not set in Boston. That's just normal driving.
Technically, only Elwood is the one who drives like a maniac. Jake is the one who sits shotgun and makes the plans.
Yeah. So I think they fall on opposing ends of the spectrum, because while John Belushi might be hopped up on cocaine, there is no clear evidence that Juliet Jake is. God, this movie fucks so severely. You're like starting it and you're just like, yeah, this is a normal functioning movie. And then all of a sudden it becomes a musical. And then it just keeps getting better.
I mean, the moment where the movie stopped being quote-unquote normal for me is when it's Frank Oz giving Jake back his personal effects. I'm like, motherfucker, that's the Fozzie Bear voice. I can hear the Fozzie Bear voice. Fozzie Bear is a cop.
Now you have the mental picture of Fozzie Bear using a Bic pen to offer to provide Jake back with his one prophylactic and one sword.
I mean, for the killer bit of having to lean over the line to sign the paper.
Yeah, Jake has some wonderful just little fuck yous to authority right from the beginning. And that aerial shot of like the industrial area in Chicago, this steel city, and then I guess when they were doing the helicopter shots, the aerials for the prison guards actually shot at the helicopter a couple of times because they thought it might have been a potential attempted prison escape. Yeah. What a movie.
What a fucking movie, man! They had to put cocaine into the budget!
Unbelievable.
I wonder if you watched an updated version of this movie now, if they've gone back and revamped it, if they have also removed Carrie Fisher's cocaine fingernail from a few shots.
Did she have cocaine? I didn't notice that. What I noticed is that she had an impeccable manicure and was turning pages of a book with wet nails, and I'm like, ma'am, you are the bravest woman alive.
She is the absolute most character with her very minimal amount of screen time.
I love her, Your Honor. I support women's rights and also women's wrongs.
I mean, I quite literally her first appearance on my thing is just hi Carrie with a heart.
Oh my god, mine too.
No.
Connor, quick question about the nun. Can nuns just do that? Can nuns just float?
Yeah.
I feel like that should, like, I saw that and I'm like, yeah, Catholic nuns can just do that.
Yeah, it's a well-known superpower among nuns of particular orders, you know.
Yeah.
Nuns carry a sort of power and terror that like your average priest or monk could never achieve.
Does it specifically reside in the ruler which they use to smack children and occasionally grown-ass men?
That's kind of like, you know, it's sort of, I have to imagine the ruler is sort of like, you know, like Mjolnir in that once a nun has achieved, you know, Catholic powers beyond our understanding, she's considered worthy enough to crack Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi across the head and shoulders with a pretty thick looking ruler, by the way.
Yeah, before pushing them down the fucking stairs.
Iconic, honestly.
You can't lie to a nun.
Yeah.
Also, like, can I live in this reality where apparently the church does have to pay taxes?
God, yeah. I did the money on the taxes, by the way. I did the math, or I plugged it into an inflation calculator. The money needed is about $2,574 in today's denomination.
Wait, I'm sorry, $5,000 in 1980 is
$20,000.
Okay, because I did the inflation calculator too. I guess we must have used different ones, because mine came out to about $19,602. But either way, fuck my life.
Yeah, money used to mean something.
Nowadays, a millennial who's making like $3,000 a month cannot afford Elwood's apartment in a flop house.
Literally, I looked at Elwood's apartment and I'm like, do I envy Elwood's apartment? And like, granted, I live in a 1-bedroom currently, but like, I was like, damn, do I envy this?
I used to live in an apartment in Toronto that like was right next to a very busy road. So and you'd get like semi trucks going up and down it every fairly regularly. So I often used to think to myself that one of my just that wonderful back and forth about how often the trains go by. So often you won't even notice. I think how often do does the semis pass by your apartment, Connor? Oh, so often I don't even notice.
Yeah,
it was like that for me too when I was living in Texas and there was a freight train going past the house where I was living.
Oh yeah, my parents' house is like not too far from a major rail line, so you can still hear them, even though they have like a no horn ordinance at like 2 a.m. You can still hear them go by. And now I live on the flight path of both one of the many police stations in the city and a local one of the major local hospitals. So I just get everything. I love the transformation of the exclamations of like after getting a divine revelation, because sure, if you're gonna need a plot impetus for a Blues Brothers movie, divine revelation will do.
Facilitated by James Brown. And like, do you ever look at a real life figure who's had a biopic made of them, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I get why they picked that actor to play this figure, because that was me watching James Brown and like, yeah, that's a Chadwick Boseman guy. And now I miss Chadwick Boseman.
Damn, real. But yeah, the evolution of the band, especially on Elwood's part, where he's like processing what's happening in real time.
My
he's like,
brother is glowing. He has become a completely different person who is doing backflips and like tap dancing, and then he talked back to me
on a broken ankle and a sprained back.
Yeah.
Again, John Belushi is not our most insane actor, but he was definitely one of them.
John Belushi shows everyone what you can do when you mix comedic genius with enough cocaine.
To tranquilize an elephant?
You wouldn't tranquilize an elephant with cocaine, River. River, we've all snorted enough cocaine to know that if you want to tranquilize an elephant, you certainly wouldn't feed them your a year's supply of cocaine, which is what I assume they gave John Belushi.
Now I'm just picturing the John Oliver joke from his flunked episode on TSA, where it's like, here's an elephant snorting cocaine. I love the wanton destruction of the mall. It's so good. It's so silly.
God, remember when malls were like actually a thing?
Yes.
I miss that time. I also want to know how the fuck they got all the companies in there to agree to that. Like, yeah, we're gonna have 2 guys hopped up on cocaine driving through your store, absolutely demolishing everything, and Toys R Us is like, great!
Well, so the mall was originally set for demolition. Like, that's the reason they got permission to wreck shop. And so, like, I just imagine they just didn't replace anything and didn't clear it with the companies. And plus, a lot of that was probably done by stuntmen. It does, however, always remind me at this point in my life of one of the Top Gear, like the UK Top Gear challenges, where they drive a Ford Fiesta through a mall to demonstrate its capability, because a viewer complained. They're like, you don't do like normal cars anymore, you just do like sports cars. And they're like, okay. So they did a normal car review of the Ford Fiesta, but they did it in the most absurd fashion. Like, how big's the boot? Oh, you can fit a zebra head in it. How does it control? Well, you can drive it around a mall while being chased and be fine.
What the fuck?
UK Top Gear, at its best, is the most absurd thing you've ever seen. It
Are
unfortunately...
you sure? 'Cause I saw a lot of fucking absurd things in this movie.
I mean, this movie is not a spiritual, like, predecessor to UK Top Gear. Source the card arts, and cars can just do that, you know?
Okay, so we know there was a portion of the budget set aside for cocaine. How much of the budget was set aside for cars?
Not enough.
a shit ton. That has to be I think a veritable buttload. I believe this movie held the record for most car crashes, most cars destroyed, but only for a few years. Then another movie came along and topped it, which is wild to consider, because I think it's something like 115 cars get totaled in this movie.
Yeah. It's all about the Bluesmobile's destruction at the end of the movie.
It's beautiful. Like, it's so it's so poetic. It's beautiful. Like, it survives so much that a car shouldn't, and then finally, because they're on a mission from God. Clearly.
Yeah, God gets it over the finish line, and that's why they survive a rocket launcher getting knocked at their building.
I ship the Bluesmobile with Crowley's Bentley from Good Omens.
Heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell. I fucking love the soundtrack for this movie. Jesus fucking Christ.
It's this movie and the Blues Brothers in general, are what kickstarted for me what became a lifelong love for rhythm and blues and for soul music. It was the Blues Brothers who, and this movie introducing me to the likes of Aretha Franklin and James Brown, and it's remarkable to find out, like, you know, those people who we consider legends of their genre, they were able to get them all because they're all basically so cheap, because they were all on a real downward swing in terms of their popularity.
Yeah, this is
incredible to think of when Aretha fucking Franklin is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of those, like, perfect examples where everyone needed was still alive and cheap enough to get for a cameo. Like, I feel like this is the only time in human history where those moves are coalescing into a perfect, like, you know, they pretty much got everyone they asked for.
On that note, do each of you have, like, a favorite? Because I think I have two.
I am tied between three, I think.
So my two are Minnie the Moocher and Shake a Tail Feather.
I also have Minnie the Moocher, but I also have Think and the end performance of Jailhouse Rock, because that is how I got introduced to that song, and it is one of my favorite Elvis songs.
Yeah, I would have to say Think, for sure, because for me, Think is really the moment that really solidifies. Yeah, you're watching a musical, you know, like, this is we've seen, you know, there are other previous kind of like scenes with music in them, you know, like when they go to the church, etc. But this is the first time where it's like we are using music, we are using a song to express how the character is feeling, and, you know, and which is why you know, three women just sitting at the counter also eating their lunch immediately hop up to act as backing singers.
Yeah, and Jake and Elwood become the most reluctant background dancers, where they sort of look at each other going like, yeah, we have to help.
Yeah, they're like,
it's the only way they're going to get their dry-ass toast and 4 chickens.
4 fried chickens and a Coke.
And a Coke. One of these days I'm going to have to go in. One of these days I want to go in and order that.
Incredible.
But yeah,
is it ever actually explained what Elwood's whole thing with the toast/bread is? Because, like, he also requests bread when they're in that fancy restaurant, and Pee Wee Herman is there for, like, one line.
He's also making it in his apartment before Jake passes out. I think it's just Tism.
I mean, don't we all love, like, a really well-baked bread roll?
Yeah.
A well-baked bread roll, sure, but dry toast?
Sometimes you just want, like, that nice toasted bread. I have done the thing where, like, I have toasted some bread, dry bread, you cut it into strips, and you dip it into your hot chocolate. It is amazing.
I have had grilled bread, which is not quite the same thing, but also fucks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, and I think the other thing about Think that is, like, deeply, because again, it is sort of the first, like, true musical beat, because everything else until that point has either been non-diegetic in the soundtrack, you know, with the Peter Gunn theme, She Got the Katie, and Hold On I'm Coming. And then, the diegesis of the number in the church, and then this is the first one where it's like, no, we're also a musical. And yeah, there are a couple of numbers where, like, when this does become a musical, Jake and Elwood are just immediately like, all right, we're now dancing. We have become background dancers. Like, they can't help it. My favorite is both the one for Think, where they sort of like look at each other going, okay, yep, and they get up and they just join the choreography seamlessly. And my other one is when they're trying to sneak around the cops to get into the ballroom during Minnie the Moocher, which they can hear from outside, and they're sneaking around in rhythm.
Yes. Oh,
Oh
it's
my
so
god,
good.
I didn't notice that part because I was actually kind of cranky during that. I got cranky every time they cut away from Cab Calloway.
But yeah, they're sneaking
just let
in.
me watch an uncut performance of Cab Calloway performing Minnie the Moocher to a crowd.
Yeah.
And they're all really into it on the hi.
Yeah, but they're sneaking around in rhythm. Like, you can watch them, and it's like, oh yeah, no, they cannot help but be. I think I called them chaos muses. Unwitting background dancers and chaos muses. But yeah, we have to talk about the Illinois fucking Nazis. God,
I hate Illinois Nazis.
I hate Illinois Nazis. Remember when that was like a normal thing?
It is.
I wish I could.
Go ahead.
I mean, we're 9 years into fucking... Like, I don't know whether this aged poorly or aged really, really well. I fucking hate Nazis, man, and it is always morally correct to run Nazis off a bridge or try to hit them with your car. It is always morally correct.
In the Blues Brothers.
For legal reasons. Yeah, no, to borrow a joke after yesterday's shenaniganery, where it's like, the creepiest thing is when you don't hear from the horse at all. But no, like, it's very much like, first of all, I love that no one gets the Wrigley Field joke. And the wanton chaos that just gets amplified with every enemy they make until the end, where you just have the mile-long car chase. Trying to sprint back to Chicago as fast as humanly possible.
Every fucking branch of the armed forces after them.
Every branch of the armed forces, the cops, Illinois Nazis, those Western guys they screwed over who ended up in the fucking lake.
The good old boys.
The good old boys.
How do you spend $300 on beer in a single night? How big is the band, and how many beers does that equal per person?
Okay, so there's 3 horn players, 1 guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, Elwood, and Jake. So that's 8 people, bare minimum.
A pianist.
And a pianist. That's 9 people.
There are 2 guitarists.
2
There are 2
guitarists. 10
guitarists.
people.
Matt Guitar Murphy and Steve Cropper.
Yeah, so that's 10 people. Yeah. Assuming they're all having 2 beers apiece, bare minimum. Because, like, let's face it, Jake is probably having 5.
Yeah. Jake is absolutely getting blasted to get through this set.
Yeah. Like, that is bare minimum 20 beers.
Hold on a second. Okay, I'm looking it up. What was the price of a beer in 1980? Okay, so apparently a 6-pack of beer back in 1980 would have cost you $3.42, which I believe is how much you pay now to get to sit in a bougie craft bar. So
that's as much as I pay for a single fucking cooler at the LCBO. Ow!
Yeah. So
beer's not worth it anyway.
I don't even get beer. I get, like, the fucking Mike's Blue Freeze, which sure as fuck tastes like blue.
Okay, Percy Jackson, we get it.
And Sven's 7-Up, which is just 7-Up with extra steps.
It was very interesting to be watching that scene in the cowpoke bar or whatever that was, because, number one, I could not tell if or when the crowd started liking them, because no matter what this crowd's mood is, they are still throwing shit at the band.
Throw beer bottles, affectionate.
Yeah, there are some bars and some venues where you go in there and you see that there is chicken wire or something in front of the band stage, and you're like, okay, it's that kind of venue, so you just have to accept it. I did love
so uncivilized.
I did love the like the person in the bar afterwards, like after the show and that everybody's left and you just have that one like member of the wait staff who's like cleaning away all of this broken glass.
Oh,
It's
that
amazing.
poor person.
Yeah.
I will say though, little anecdote, that particular scene, the whole thing where they go to the country and western bar, like that a reference to that got me immediately in my father-in-law's good side, many years ago, because my wife had told him that I was a big fan of the Blues Brothers, and he is a huge fan of John Belushi. So we were driving to some family gathering, and they were, this was long before I was ever married. Like, this we were when we were still young and full of hope, and we're driving past this country bar, and he points out, oh yeah, it's like look over there, and me sitting in the back seat just immediately goes, yeah, I bet they play both kinds of music, country and western. And, and apparently later on, Katie tells me, when you said that, he got the biggest smile across his face. I was like, yes, I did it.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
My favorite comic writer is currently writing for both Avengers and the X-Men. So he made a version of that meme that says, we got both kinds of comics here. We got X-Men and Avengers. So I have that permanently saved on my phone. Shout out to Jet McKay's meme.
I think that scene is also kind of an indication of, this is where it is actually a musical, because we have the magical, we all know this song perfectly, even though this is not part of our usual set list.
They're all professionals. I mean, you can definitely tell that all of the members of the Blues Brothers band are experienced professionals who have been playing music for a really, really long time and are among the top musicians in their genre, of blues, R&B, soul, because not one among them can act. They try their hardest.
Yeah,
Bless them, they're trying. But...
They're all like pedigreed musicians, but none of them can act. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Steve
kind
Cropper
of
and Duck
picture
Dunn.
the cue cards right behind the camera.
Steve Cropper and Duck Dunn were even then legends in R&B circles, but those guys, God bless them, but
yeah, like I think I read in the IMDb that like Duck Dunn is on Hold On, I'm Coming.
Yeah.
Like he was part of the house band for when all of those tracks are getting recorded, so he's just on that song. I fucking love what becomes of the in-house musicians for any recording studio. It's so funny. But yeah, I love when the cops pull out to try and catch the fucking Bluesmobile as it's jetting away from the country and western bar, and immediately sideswipe the country and western guys, and I'm just like, typical cop behavior. The country and western guys always end up wet. Like, because the first time they get hit, they hit like a pipe or something, and so water comes flowing out, they're all damp. And then the second time they end up in the lake.
The dude who leads the country and western guys, who is that guy? I know that guy. Who is he?
The leader...
Charles Napier. Who is he? How do I know him?
Silence of the Lambs?
No, I've never seen Silence of the Lambs, so I guess I know him from Austin Powers?
Austin Powers is entirely possible. Archer?
No.
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide?
No, none of these are looking familiar. Cannot for the life of me figure out why he's familiar.
He maybe just be like one of those, like, Spirit?
The Matt Damon horse movie?
The Matt Damon horse movie. He's a voice in that.
Dino Croc. Rambo,
Maybe.
First Blood Part 2.
Nope, none of these are ringing bells, but he feels familiar and it's driving me nuts.
He's one of those guys, I think. He's one of those actors who just has he has that kind of face. There used to be a lot more of them back in the day.
Yeah, I was the 80s character actor.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I think this was, the first time I've seen John Candy in a movie where he was not a Mog. And also,
I only knew who Twiggy was because I've seen The Muppet Show.
Real. No, understandable. That is one of my favorite things about watching, like, The Muppet Show. Like, I remember, like, I was watching The Muppet Show, and I got, like, the Madeline Kahn episode, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then or, like, she's in the original Muppet movie, and I'm like, okay, I know there's a joke here, but I am too removed to understand the joke. And then I watched Clue, and I was like, oh, I understand the joke now. Okay. Where, like, because that's, like, one of the things that I thought about this time around is, like, we may eventually, like, I hope it never comes, but we may eventually hit a point where this movie becomes that sort of problem where it's like, oh, do any of the jokes make sense anymore? But
does anyone know who Ray Charles is and why it's cool that he could shoot at a kid who's trying to steal a guitar?
Yeah.
It's okay, he'll take an IOU, as usual.
Yeah, I this is one of those, like, because you always, like, John Candy is one of those actors who, again, is very much like an oh shit, we lost too soon actor in terms of, because most of that generation is. But he's so restrained in this. Like, you kind of don't clock it's him until you get a good look at him and you're like, oh, right, you!
I do love him in the when they have the big show, you know, where they're raising the funds, and his insistence that they sit down and actually watch, you know.
Yeah,
and,
I haven't heard these guys sing yet.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go into a venue, and when the waiter or waitress ask what we want, like, just to point to everyone, go orange whip.
Yeah,
I don't even know what an orange whip tastes like, but now I want to know.
I looked it up, and it actually seems like it's right up my alley. So an orange whip is a sweet cocktail made with rum, vodka, cream, and orange juice, and it is typically blended to a froth like a milkshake. So it's kind of like a creamsicle.
Considering I had everything but the alcohol of that drink yesterday, where I had a drink that one of the local coffee shops was calling a creamsicle, which was like orange juice, a like thing of cream with a couple of vanilla shots in it combined on ice. Yeah, I think I could drink that. But yeah, I my favorite John Candyism is the, what's our car number? Number 55. We're in a truck!
Phenomenal shot too, just the car sticking out of the truck. Reminds me of moving season here in Boston. Look up Starrowing if you've never heard of it.
Truly. Yeah. The Minnie the Moocher number is so fucking good. Cab Calloway, you were wrong. It was never going to be the disco version. It was always going to be the original. Are you fucking kidding?
And I love the visual of it turning into a full-on big band thing. Like, yes, it's only in his imagination, but God, it looks so good.
It's so good!
It's really good, yeah.
And, like, the thing about that whole performance is that, like, John and Dan are both very talented, but they're clearly actors and comedians first, singing professionals maybe third, but the ending is so, like, earnest, and it's decent enough, and the band is carrying it, and the audience is into it, that it just all sort of gels together in a way where you're like, yeah, I buy this ending. This is great.
I actually thought they were both pretty good singers. I mean,
they are.
If they were being
good.
Dubbed, maybe I missed that, but it seemed natural enough, and I liked them.
No, yeah. they're both really good. If you ever get an opportunity, you should definitely check out more of, like, Belushi's work as Jake Blues. Like, I always point people towards a live performance of Shotgun Blues, which also features a stunning solo by Matt Guitar Murphy, and Belushi's performance on that song is just so heartbreaking. It's very emotional, very intense. They're both great performers, and their comedic backgrounds and their ability to, like, you know, perform on stage, because they both come from, like, you know, improv and stage comedy backgrounds before they got into TV and movies. I think it helps them, you know, get into those characters of Jake and Elwood and put on a wonderful performance, wonderful show.
Just the most insane. All of this to get out of a sketch. All of this to pretend to be musicians for 15 minutes to get out of doing another sketch.
I gotta go watch the Carrie Fisher episode of Saturday Night Live after this, because that was when the Blues Brothers guested.
Yeah.
The King Bee performance, where they're dressed in the bee costumes, though, is amazing.
I also acknowledge that the whitest opinion I will ever have is I respect jazz and blues, but it is so much of a jammy style of music, that it's never going to be, like, a thing I pick out to listen to, because it very much is like, because like the white answer to the jazz and the blues is jam bands like Fish. Tell me I'm wrong.
I will take your word for it. I was raised primarily on Jimmy Buffett and Disney songs.
So I had never experienced Fish, but the jam band oeuvre, until I worked a summer in upstate New York, and they are apparently deeply into the scene, and I got dragged to one of their shows. And at one point, I remember being such a ball of incandescent rage because the band was not resolving the musical idea they were setting up. They were just building it. They were never resolving it. It was driving me insane. My phone was on low battery, and I was suffering a weed headache because, everyone's smoking pot, and I cannot be around marijuana smoke because it'll give me a massive fucking headache. So I'm like curled in a ball in the bathroom. My phone's at 3%, but I'm trying to listen to normal music because I swear to God, if I don't, I'll just start screaming. But yeah, like, I'm very much, again, aware that this is the whitest opinion I'll ever have. I respect it. I appreciate that it is one of the few American art cultures we've got. I thank the black people who made it, but it is not particularly for me. But yeah, this movie just makes it work, and I'm just like, I'm seeing the light. I understand it for a brief moment.
I mean, I'm the complete opposite. Like, I would listen to R&B, jazz, soul all day if that's what's on my turntable. And like I said earlier, this movie and listening to the Blues Brothers was the Kickstarter for me in terms of like getting into that style of music. Because I mean, look at the soundtrack for this movie. You want a jumping off point to explore any aspect of the blues or R&B, then this is pretty good. I may have heard some of this stuff beforehand, but this was where I got to actually see like Aretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker, James Brown, Ray Charles, and then you get the feeling from watching it and then later on, because I was a big Blues Brothers fan, like listening to interviews and stuff like that, just how much Belushi and Aykroyd loved that kind of music, going to each other's homes and putting on records and listening to it throughout the night and talking about like if we're going to put this together, if we were putting a band together, who do we want to put in it, and knowing all of these really talented musicians who had worked on those records that they loved. And so the love that they have for R&B is so evident in every frame, in everything they do. Like when they're in those scenes with people that they consider heroes, like it just, you get this, like watching, like especially if you watch Dan Aykroyd, you can just tell like it's a good thing he's got the sunglasses on at all times, because I'm sure he must be buzzing to be able to stand on a set with people that soundtracked his life.
Yeah, this movie is sort of the best love letter that you could have ever written to genre, because it does again exist in this period of time where everyone who we need to be involved in this movie is alive. Because again, this is, we pretty much, I think, lost almost everybody in this movie, if not everybody. And so it could have only been made now, and God damn, am I happy it's here. Can we talk about the big darn monologue in the sewers?
You contemptible pig. I remained celibate for you. I stood at the back of a cathedral, waiting in celibacy for you, with 300 friends and relatives in attendance. My uncle hired the best Romanian caterers in the state. To obtain the 7 limousines for the wedding party, my father used up his last favors with Mad Pete Trullo. So for me, for my mother, my grandmother, my father, my uncle, and for the common good, I must now kill you and your brother.
Iconic.
Where I start giggling and where I don't stop until the end of the fucking movie. Like, I get some half-hearted chuckles here and there, but I start giggling at the collapsing to the ground like a miserable worm and being like, my car broke down! Was that a gas? I didn't mean it, I swear!
I swear to God, it wasn't my fault!
Yeah!
Honestly, the funniest thing of that whole exchange for me is just Elwood going, take it easy.
Yeah.
At the tail end of it.
Yeah, after getting dropped back into the mud. Truly iconic.
Yeah. The moment that actually made me laugh probably the hardest was that delayed ow at the gas station. Like, it's just a little bit too late.
Yeah. Just an absurd number of cops descending upon Chicago. Just the ever-increasing stream of cars and people descending on a building.
Cutting between Jake and Elwood in the elevator listening to the music and the like the National Guard like coming down, abseiling down the side of the building going hut 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 hut.
The sniper's setting up on the building across the street. I love the madcap energy of like getting into the building, blocking the doors, running to the checkpoint, quickly asking where to actually go, pausing and being normal, and then being like thanks, and then running the fuck away.
But then they act so normal as they're blocking the doors on that level. They wait patiently for Steven Spielberg to come back from his 5-minute break. Steven Spielberg!
Well, he had nothing better to do. And he's not quite at the point where having him on speed dial is akin to having God on speed dial.
I mean, this was also before he kind of cut contact with Landis over the whole, killing children thing.
Yes, and so like if Spielberg wants to be in your movie for a bit part, let him.
Yeah.
And just the absurd number of people they cram into that final shot. Everyone's gun discipline being absolute garbage.
That was a fucking fire hazard and a half, too.
Yes. The Nazis descending from an improbable sky angle past the Sears Tower and into a crater.
Honestly, that joke was so good that I kind of felt like it was ruined by one Nazi looking at the other and going, I've always loved you.
Listen, I am willing to bypass that shitty joke for the sheer absurdity of cars can just do that, They can just, fall straight down from miraculous heights.
Can do that.
They had to actually prove that they could do that. They actually had to drop one of those cars from a height and prove that it could safely be done. Honestly, I think the "I've always loved you" line and the head Nazi's like expression after hearing it is like his reaction is just perfect because for him this is the worst day that he's ever had in his life. He is literally seconds from death, and that was literally the last thing he will ever hear. And he's like, well, this is it. This is the culmination of my life, basically. And then he crashes, and then they crash and cause a crater, which naturally the Bluesmobile immediately jumps over, and it just chef's kiss.
Again, cars can just do that.
May all Nazis suffer a similar fate.
Oh.
We're gonna need to drop a lot of cars.
Truly. Listen, we've got a perfect, absolutely easily indestructible in the worst possible ways boulder to do it with. Anyone got a Cybertruck? Listen, he keeps trying to make those company towns. I thought we'd just start driving Cybertrucks from space to make craters.
You know what? At this point, I'll allow it, but there is actually another joke I forgot was really fucking funny, and that's the statues reacting to the Bluesmobile falling apart.
That is really good too, yeah.
I also appreciate the line of, I understand that, I've been exploited all my life. Underrated line read. Also, the immediate cutaway of, all right, let's go, boys, and everybody else is just sitting in the corner out of frame.
Yes.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
That is a joke that never fails to, like, make me laugh hysterically of, like, you think it's just, like, a couple of people in a frame, and they're like, all right, let's go, and everybody else who is supposed to be in that scene goes with them. Never fails to be work.
It baffles me because, like, some of the editing in this movie is so fucking good, it drives me nuts. And then some of the musical numbers specifically are edited in such a way I'm like, this is sloppy. This is not how you edit music. I'm specifically thinking of, like, the James Brown scene, but, like, I don't know.
So the James Brown scene, I think, suffers from they must have lost footage, because a lot of that is colored differently. Than physically colored on film differently than the rest of that movie scene is shot. I think they lost something and had to go patch in earlier takes that weren't as like the camera just didn't catch the exposure right.
I think there was also a struggle. Sorry to interrupt. I think there was also a struggle because I know that at least in the case of James Brown and Aretha, they both sang live. So neither of them were comfortable or really capable of like lip syncing to a backing track. So
Based.
they ended. Yeah. So yeah, Aretha tried, but see, like both of those, because both of those artists, they come from a time when you never really sang the same song. You never really sang the same song twice in the same way. So they ended up having to like cut various like takes of that performance to try to match them up as best they could with the backing track that they were going to be using for the actual for the soundtrack. So that might be there's probably that might be an excuse or one reason why the editing in some musical numbers is sloppier than you might is rougher, we'll say, than it is in, for example, Ray Charles's bit, his scene later on when they do Shake a Tail Feather, which is
off reference,
a bit tighter.
never duplicated.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to that Hanson music video.
Funny story, my first experience with Shake a Tail Feather was actually the Cheetah Girls cover.
Oh.
Because it was on the Radio Disney mix CD that my parents bought for me, and yes, I also know that was like a tie-in for Chicken Fucking Little, but...
Yeah, I think I got it from Chicken Little, because I did see that movie as a child.
I'm sorry.
Don't remember a lot of it, but I did see it. But yeah, like, that scene is also, incredibly perfect. All of the musical numbers, say what you want about the editing, all of the musical numbers performance-wise, perfect. Because, like, I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, Think is my favorite number. And then I got to Minnie the Moocher and I'm like, nope, wait, this is it. And then I got to Jailhouse Rock and I'm like, right, this one. It's just a steady increasing stream of, like, yes, absolutely. Please, God.
Honestly, like, they put a small amount of Minnie the Moocher into Moulin Rouge on Broadway, and every time I'm hearing it, I'm like, can we just do a full performance of Minnie the Moocher? Can we? Please. And then I watch Cab Calloway, I'm like, okay, no, we can't, because no one could ever do it like Cab Calloway does.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. I think you should all be watching the animated short for Minnie the Moocher. Also incredibly good. Back when animation was doing weird fucking shit to prove that it could do it.
Oh, also, shout out to convenient record label man with all the money, who apparently could not get them out of getting sent to jail.
Deus Ex Cash, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, what okay, let's play the game. What are the actual crimes that Jake and Elwood are being charged with? Driving on a suspended license. Destruction of public property to, like, the nth degree.
I think that, unfortunately, driving at the Nazis would be counted as attempted assault or aggravated assault of some kind.
Aggravated assault and or attempted manslaughter.
Attempted vehicular manslaughter?
Yeah, attempted vehicular manslaughter.
You can't attempt manslaughter. If you attempt manslaughter, it becomes premeditated murder.
Whoops, I slipped with this bag of knives that fell out.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're definitely getting them on driving on a suspended license. You're definitely getting them on destruction of public property.
Probably some fraud charges.
You're definitely getting them on some fraud charges, which is probably the fraud charges are probably the biggest thing they're getting, and that's probably why the rest of the band is in the joint as well.
Yeah. Also probably some like public endangerment stuff.
Public endangerment.
The sequel should have just been the Blues Brothers go to court.
Unfortunately, there is no sequel to this movie.
Sequel? What
There's
sequel?
no sequel to this movie.
Shut up! No Warren Bossing say.
There is no Warren Bossing say. There is no sequel to the Blues Brothers. Yeah, like so you're not getting them on as much as you probably could, and what you are getting them on in actuality are very small crimes.
At least they have each other.
Yeah, they'll be out in like 3 to 5 for good behavior.
Yeah, because like Jake gets out on good behavior. So like once they're in the joint, they're relatively well behaved. It's just when they're out and about.
Like, starting a rave. They started a Jailhouse Rock rave.
Listen. Inciting a riot is just a thing that happens, you know? Elvis does that to people.
Yeah, sometimes you just have a riot.
Riot! 2 Atla jokes in the span of 2 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, who wants to start a fight?
Them's fighting words.
I also really loved that they had that bit of the credits where it was the cast singing, and I kind of wish they'd done that for the full thing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was singing, but I get why they did.
Yeah, I love the crew, the synchronized crew shot at the end. That was very cute. But yeah, this movie is perfect and a little insane, and that's why it's the best.
So, like, I don't know if I would go all the way to perfect, just because I think there are some jokes that are drawn out just a little too long. I'm specifically thinking of the restaurant scene as a big example, but it just...
Oh, yeah.
Like, it could have been slimmed down a little. I think you could have gotten it to a tight 2 hours.
Yeah, it's it is the closest we can get to God's perfect movie. Because nothing is ever going to be perfect, especially a comedy where, comedy ages like milk real fucking quick.
I've always loved you.
Yeah, so, like, this is as close as we can get to a comedy movie aging not as atrociously as some of John Landis's other movies. Looking at you, Animal House. Yeah, fuck that movie. My parents tried to show it to me when I was, like, actually a thinking and functioning human adult, like, human person, and I went, nothing about this is good. It does have the same wanton destruction ending, which I think is where I get a little bit of joy out of it. But I feel the same way about, Animal House as I do about Meatballs, which is another movie where I'm like, I understand that this was probably funny in the 80s, but, like, to me, makes me want to punt myself into the sun. Fuck Bill Murray. And Stripes, I can't do a raunchy 80s comedy, except for this one, because this one has other things going on.
And it's not particularly raunchy either. I will give Stripes. I will say one thing in defense of Stripes is that it does have that wonderful line when they're signing up in the army, and the recruiting sergeant asks them any convictions, like any criminal convictions, and they go, convictions? No convictions.
Incredible. Well, with all of that out of the way, it seems like I don't need to ask it, but is the Force with it?
Yes.
Very blunt. Yeah, the Force is definitely with this movie. From start to finish.
So I'm gonna give it a very mild Forces with it, just because I'm trying to, like, embrace liking stuff, and it made me laugh. Like, I think there's enough good stuff in here. The Cab Calloway, the Ray Charles, the Aretha Franklin, the music in general is the greatest redeeming factor, and also Carrie Fisher.
It's your turn to have the obligatory yes with an asterisk.
It's 2025. Liking stuff is the new punk.
Correct.
Thank you, Superman.
Also, this movie has wackadoo wild amounts of ACAB energy, and for that you have to kind of say face.
Indeed. Who has Pluggables? River, we'll start with you.
You can find me on BlueSky at Dreams Rebel. You can find me on my own website at blog.filmlion.online. I am also the host of The Straights Aren't All Right, a podcast where I gather a bunch of queers together, make them watch straight rom-coms, and try to answer the question, are the straights, like, okay? And you can find that wherever pods are cast.
You can find me on BlueSky. I'm at Young Mr. Duffy. And then you can find myself and my lovely wife, Katie. We are both two halves, making a full whole of Third Country Press, which is our itch page. You go to thirdcountrypress.itch.io. There's little hyphens between everything. Just Google it. Or don't use Google. Use, like, Ecosia or DuckDuckGo. Anyway, we have an itch page, is what I'm trying to say. Third Country Press, we make mini RPGs, zines, supplements. A lot of it is pay what you want. It's the stuff that's not is super cheap. And you can also hear us on BFF.FM every Thursday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 a.m. West Coast Time. We host Third Country Radio, where every week we pick a genre or a theme or an artist that we're really into that week, and we talk and play great music for 2 hours.
Right, that's lovely.
And in the spirit of Star Wars, to be there for the people who need us, this episode's mutual fund spotlight goes to the family of Trey Reed, whose body was found horrifically brutalized and displayed on September 15th at the Delta State University campus in Mississippi. While the authorities have made their own rulings, his family is pursuing an independent autopsy and legal action, and his sister has said that donations can be sent to her or to his grandmother at either Cash App or PayPal. The link can be found in the description, as well as on my various socials at Demisem. Our theme music is provided by Refractory Period, the two girls, one beat synth pop sensation. You can follow them on Instagram at Refractory Period, the band. To further support this podcast, please subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave reviews, and share with your friends to boost our visibility, and consider joining our Patreon. And now, it's time to turn to the Chance Cube to see where our journey takes us next.
That's a 4.
That's a 4, which means... Steven Spielberg, what are you doing here? Next up is the 2021 remake of West Side Story.
Oh boy!
We'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, stay beautiful, and may the Force be with you.
The distance between what is said
Shut it down.
and what is known to be true has become an abyss. Of all the things at risk, the loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous. The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. When truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest.
I don't care if you have to cut power to the whole chamber. Get her off the air!
This chamber's hold on the truth was finally lost on the Gorman Plaza. What took place yesterday, what happened yesterday on Gorman was unprovoked genocide. Yes, genocide. And that truth has been exiled from this chamber. And the monster screaming the loudest, the monster Eve helped create, the monster who will come for us all soon enough, is Emperor Palpatine.